Thank you. So, Felix Lewis, good morning. And just before we start, I wanted to introduce Prabhu, who is from our testing team. And uh, as we discuss, two things here. The agenda of this call is to understand, some additional details pertaining to phase two, so that we can provide the high-level quote for that, and also understand what are the integrations, what are the objectives that we would like to cover as part of the scope. And then from the testing perspective, for phase one, we have a fair idea of what we have to put together as part of the SIT execution and support. But Prabhu has a few questions, and he'll briefly explain what we intend to cover as part of the whole scope. And if there are any other points that the bank is willing to cover, or any other comments, we just want to cover this in this session. We'll start obviously with the the phase two information. So Felix, is that okay as part of the agenda?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, great.
Hi, Felix. Hi, Luis. Good morning.
Hi, Prabhu. Nice to meet you.
Same here.
Pratosh, Mani, let's get started, please. If you could take the floor.
So Felix, we've not had any detailed discussion yet on phase two, but we do have some understanding on what are the things which need to go in phase two. So I will just first speak out my understanding, and on top of that, I'm sure there would be many missing things, so that you can tell us what else is there, so that we can have the complete idea. Does that work?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so obviously we are talking about the outgoing messages which have to be considered. So those outgoing messages have to go in the MX format. So for that, we have to see the payment initiations that are happening today from your side in Transact, or from the digital channels also. So those initiations, they'll have to be migrated or implemented in TPH, so that they continue working the same way they are doing, but now they are sending out their mixed messages. That is like one main requirement for phase two.
Let me ask a question, Pratosh. The initiation, are we supposed to use TPH for that initiation, or should we use a payment order for that?
We can do it both the ways, and that was the discussion which we had in the first call also, because what we can do is you can keep on doing the payment initiation from Transact, and we do the corresponding integration with TPH, so that once the information has been put in your screen, it travels to TPH, does the transaction, and you have the response on the same screen. So that can be one way to do it, so that all the initiations remain in Transact. Or the second way would be that you have an independent sign-in in TPH, and you start the payment initiations from there. So the second option is a bit faster option, but obviously you have to log into independent TPH to do that. In the first option, we can analyze that what are the payment initiations you are having today, and how they will be integrated with TPH, so it is transparent for you.
So basically today, what we are doing is, so we have channels initiation from online banking, and basically this is a basic user form, and it creates. So we have internal transfers that we will lead those in Transact as FT. And for domestic and SWIFT international, basically, so we use FT. We have a couple of versions that basically we use to create the FT record in iHall or in our status, and basically back office reviews that payment instruction from the online banking, and basically they follow the process established with screening validations and all the validations that we discussed the other day, like the sanctions, Venezuela or European sanctions that we discussed last meeting. It also applies for ongoing. So that's for online banking, and for also we receive a lot of requests from bankers. So basically, this is the process which is paper-based process that we want to see how we can improve it and try to eliminate it. But basically, there is an instruction coming from the client to the banker. The banker basically does the security validation, identifying the customer and the transaction with a call, and that basically that paper form is sent to, let's say, to a person which is operations but acts as a middle office, basically to do another validation. They validate signatures, and basically they send the paper back to back office, and back office inputs the transaction in T24 as a FT transaction. So recently, that's the most general the origination channels that we have, and now we have started using the payment order for vendor payments with basically intra-departments transfers between accounting and operations. They were using a PDF form with instructions to operations, and now we have changed that. So basically, accounting uses the payment order application with beneficiary information stored, and they generate the payment instruction, and it generates the FT record. So basically, back office, the only thing that they do is to authorize the payment. So and from Well Suite front office, what we only allow is to do internal transfer between accounts of same portfolio or different portfolio, but basically that is triggering a flow to transact that generates an FT. So that will be considered as internal transfer and will remain the same. So
Felix, just one question here. That instruction which you receive as a banker for payment, that part is clear, and also the last one, which the back office operation, that is clear. In case of the digital channels, you are not having straight through processing. All the
no.
Okay, so you have to analyze each and every request that is coming in. Once you authorize, then only the payment goes out. There is no straight through processing.
No, that's something. There is a validation also that basically is supposed to basically change our risk appetite. But long term, what we want to do is to introduce efficiency and basically do as much STP as we can. But basically, there is two components. There is the data input. So basically, to do a straight-through processing, someone has to input the data properly in the origination, and the second is the risk appetite, no? Because you can have fraud. So basically, so that's something that we need to consider for that STP, no, initiation. Process. So the question here is, so for outgoing SWIFT, if we go with MT, basically mostly you don't have to change much, because this is basic data that you have to request to the client, no, to proceed with to basically instruct the payment. But if we go with MX, there is much information that is needed to complete the MX. This is my understanding.
Correct. That's a bigger message, yes.
So the question is, I'm not sure if payment order in Transat is able to, or will have the capabilities to do that, to have all this data that is required for the MX, or we should be originating from TPH with the right fields. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get your point. I think Mani has to say something. Yeah, Mani, please.
Um, Felix, before I get into that, I just wanted to understand from the digital channel, the payments you're making, let's say account transfers or let's say SWIFT payments, they come through for a review in Transact. You review them, only then you process them, correct? Now, is there
Correct.
any screening aspect for these payments?
Yes, there is.
And where does the screening happen? When the client initiates a payment in digital or after you verify the payment in
After
transact?
after when the operation is verifying the payment, there is the screening call
Before,
to work with it.
okay,
Yes,
okay. So that is already pre-integrated and you already have it.
that's correct.
Okay, fine. If you're going to follow, let's say,
But
the same.
is going to FT directly. So we don't at this point we are not using payment order for that, and I don't think FT is integrated with TPH.
Okay, FT is not integrated with TPS. Okay,
So
TPH
that's my
itself.
that's my understanding. So my understanding is if you want to receive a payment instruction, so you have to use payment order. This is what the Menos documentation says. And
Can you
then,
just repeat, Felix? I didn't hear it properly.
yes, my understanding when reading the documentation from the Menos is you should use payment order for initiation. Then this payment instruction or payment order instruction, you can route it to FT or to TPH or to a third-party payment processing platform. That's my understanding based on what the memo says in the documentation. So
That's yes, Felix, that's right. Also, you can route the payment. You can set the payment system as FT or TPS, which is actually the payment system.
okay, so as of today, any initiation from the channel, it generates a OFSML message that reaches FT directly.
Okay, so the customer, let's say in digital, when a payment is initiated, it is basically a fund transfer that is being initiated. Is that correct?
Correct.
EFT transaction being initiated. That comes into your manual authorization queue. You verify the same and authorize. At this point, the screening takes place. Once the screening is cleared, then the payment goes through. That's what you currently have.
Yes, that's correct. Correct me if I'm
And
wrong.
that generates an empty message.
Correct. NT
And
or Fed wire, depending if it's domestic
yes,
or
yes,
USD.
yes, yes, I was coming to ask that. Now, in digital, you provide within the same bank fund transfers, SWIFT international transfers, then US Fed wire. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, okay. And in this, you find only the SWIFT part to be converted for MT to MX. Is that correct? Pratosh, you were saying something.
Sorry, can you repeat the last question?
Yes. Now in this digital, right? If you're continuing the same, you're looking at conversion of the MT to MX. That's all, correct?
Yeah, that would be the second. Yeah, yes.
Okay. Okay. Fine.
So we have two options here, right? If the bank decides to stay in MT, we should be sending an MT message. If the bank decides
Yes.
to switch to MX, we should be ready to switch to MX. But my understanding to do this switch from MT to MX is not only to do the switch, it's to gather the information in the different channels that we have in origination, right? So
That's right.
my understanding is that the MX message is an enriched format where you have more granularity in some information like the addresses. So basically, if you don't gather that information from any place, you will not be able to generate a proper MX. That's my understanding.
That's correct. That's correct, Felix.
Okay. Okay. And okay. Now, apart from this payments, Felix, in Transact, do we have a direct debit facility allowed?
Sorry, can you repeat? What?
Do we have? Does the bank allow direct debits feature for customers?
No, no, which I no, right, Luis?
We have standing orders.
No, standing orders is fine. Standing orders is fine. That is noted also. The standing orders is both for SWIFT as well as FedWire. Is that correct understanding?
Yeah, it's a scheduled payment that is configured in the system. Yeah.
Luis, it's only for FedWire, no? Standing orders right now, or it's for both?
Okay.
I think we can create for both.
Okay.
FedWire and SWIFT.
FedWire and SWIFT alone. From Transact also the same. It's okay.
Yes.
Now, Pratosh, if you may recall, as part of phase one, we discussed only the incoming MTMX conversion, right? We did not take the FedWire part in that. Am I right?
That's correct, Mani.
So we'll have to include the incoming FedWire also here. Okay.
Sorry, can you repeat that the last phrase? You say we will include what?
No. As part of phase one, we had only discussed about incoming SWIFT to be processed through payments up, which is TPH. Correct?
Yeah, correct. I understood FedWire, so that was the reason for. So I was asking you to repeat the question.
Mani, in phase one, for FedWire, the case that we have considered is that is incoming SWIFT and outgoing FedWire. That is what we have considered.
Yes, that is what we considered. Incoming FedWire is not considered for TPH, if I recall correctly.
That is correct. That has not that we don't have to consider.
Okay. But that we do not have for phase one, right, Pratosh? But for phase two, will that be applicable? Do we need to process incoming FedWire through TPH?
The incoming FedWire messages, what I understand is that they are coming from the digital channels that can be SWIFT, international payments or the FedWire messages. That is the source of the incoming FedWire. This is what I understand from Felix.
Yeah, but basically my only concern here is you know that the Fed is releasing a new change for November 2022, which is the TAC 8200.
Right.
So, and Temenos, they are not going to do anything in the US legacy FedWire model. So, I don't know whether TPH is going to support that feature as part of the FedWire changes. So.
I understood from Leo was that in the case where there are changes needed for the outgoing FedWire message, where we have to include a couple more information or tags in that message, he was saying that a backpack solution is available, which can be installed in Transact, and that will bring the changes. This is what I understood from him. But anyways, I will clarify that once more.
Yeah, if you don't mind to put me in copy when you send to Temenos, because that's fine for the incoming SWIFT outgoing Fed.
Right.
But what happens if we receive an incoming Fed with the TAC 8200? What we do with that? Because so the question is whether we should reconsider or to process as well incoming Fed.
I will send that clarification today itself to Leo, and I'll copy you for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
So Mani, one of the questions which Felix previously asked was that today they are using payment orders in Transact, okay, for some of the outgoing SWIFT payments. So, and that is generating obviously the MT message today. But tomorrow when we have to generate the MX message, the format of the MX message obviously is much bigger as compared to MT, and additional information has to go in. So his question is that the same screen that he's using for payment order today in Transact, will that be enough for if we start using the outgoing MT messages tomorrow, MX messages, because we will need more information. So that is his question. Will that be enough, or we have to start the payment orders then in from the TPH screen with the new fields which we are having?
Thank you, Pratosh. And also, with regards to that question, remember that we are in R19 in Transact.
Correct. So what do you think? Yeah.
Pratosh, initiating from TPH would be fine, Pratosh. That's what I see it as.
Okay. So the payment initiations which are happening today in Transact, they will now happen in TPH. That is how we will implement the solution.
Okay. So that will work for single orders, and in the future, if we want to establish bulk payments, because that's something that we are envisioning for the new online banking that we are reviewing. So basically, for your info, there is a project to launch a new online banking, and basically one of the things that we are considering for the MVP is to have bulk payments. So basically, so my understanding is that TPH offers APIs to basically capture bulk payments and process bulk payments. Is that?
I didn't get that last part. You were asking about bulk payments, Felix, or what?
Yeah, no. So in conjunction with this initiation topic that we are discussing, even is not in scope right now for phase one. So we have another initiative, which is the online banking change to a new online banking platform. In that new online banking platform, we are considering to have bulk payments. So if we decide that all the initiations are going to be routed to TPH, my understanding is that TPH is able also to consume bulk payments files, correct?
That's correct. Bulk payment is a functionality which is coming out of the box from TPH. That is correct, Felix.
Okay, so basically TPH has the, I guess it will have standard APIs to consume those files coming from the online banking, correct?
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay, so basically it's to strategically define the architecture to any initiation will go through TPH instead of Transact.
That's correct. So also the ones which are hitting directly FT, we will redirect them to TPH so that your online channels are directly integrated with TPH, and all the requests will fall directly into the request queue of TPH. And after that, the processing will be the same as we have agreed before, the screening and whatever we need to do, and it will stand in a queue for your back office to analyze it and everything. The process will remain the same. It will hit the TPH, and that is where we will start the initiation.
Okay, understood.
Means that from TPH, rather from digital, any payment is initiated, it will fall into a manual queue. We can verify the payment from that queue. And once the bank has verified the payment, then the next stage of screening and next steps can go through. I was about to ask for the bulk payments, but the question itself came up. Does the bank currently provide bulk payments?
No, currently no. But we are envisioning that for the new release of the online banking, hopefully next year.
Okay.
Mani, I have a question. I'm just thinking out loud. This is more a question to you than to the bank. You remember that for the incoming SWIFT messages, we are anyways implementing the complete process, payment processing in TPH, right? And one of the first steps there is exactly the same as we are talking about the digital channels. There also the payment goes into a queue. The screening is done with the OFAC system, which we discussed last time. So I understand that the screening in this case is with the same system. So instead of making the users validate that payment in Transact, why don't we merge both the processes so that everything is falling in Transact and there only they are doing all the validations. Otherwise, for incoming Swift, they would be doing the validation in TPH, and for digital channels, they will continue doing it in Transact. So we can merge both of them to have it in TPH, right? If it is the same process.
Yes.
That's right, Pratosh.
Okay.
That's right, Pratosh. If you're going to follow, if you're going to use TPH going forward in a broad manner, it will make a clear way that we do all the processing here in TPH itself, including the screening.
Absolutely. And I think that should be our focus money for all the payment initiations, everything which we are doing, because slowly we have to bring everything towards TPH. So in phase 2, whatever we can bring to TPH, I think that should be our focus.
Yeah, TPH, there is a flexibility. We can define which payment needs to be screened and which payment doesn't need to be screened.
Perfect.
That is very much available, and we can, let's say, if from the bank it's going to initiate a transaction, that can be different limits, and for digital initiator that can be different limits. So this kind of flexibility is available, so that can be made use of.
Got it.
Okay.
So direct debits is not there. Fedwire is there. Swift is there. Any other clearing system, Felix, that we need to make a note of here?
ACH money.
Yeah, the ACH was there. Felix, can you confirm if only ACH or any other?
ACH incoming only.
ACH incoming only, yeah?
Yes, we don't originate ACH.
Pratosh, no outward for ACH, only inward.
Only inward, yes.
Noted. And for the outgoing messages and ACH and everything money, we have the volume details also, so that the bank has already provided. I have shared it. I will send it to you once more.
Next, one more query here. Any correspondent bank being used for this purpose of the clearing, or how does it work? Is a bank a direct participant of the clearing system?
Yes, in some cases, yes. You mean for the outgoing?
Sorry, Felix, I lost you.
You mean
in the middle.
You mean for the outgoing?
I'm not able to understand, Felix, the last part. Can you just repeat it? My question was that, are we using any correspondent bank specifically for clearing payments, let's say Fedwire or ACH?
No. So basically for outgoing or incoming. So we have corresponding banks for some currencies, like head office for euros. Also we use JP Morgan Chase, but basically we do
for Swift.
Yes.
Yes, I get it. For Swift, definitely yes. I'm saying for Fedwire and ACH, is the bank a direct participant, or is there through a clearing correspondent setup?
No, direct participant. Yes.
You're a direct participant. Fine. Mm-hmm. Okay. Pratosh, in that case, there is no correspondency except for Swift.
Correct. Understood.
Okay, there is no direct debits, there is no other clearing. So basically it's about Swift, Fedwire and incoming ACH.
Yes.
And all of this should be in TPH. The origination should also be in TPH.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So obviously all this money that will also bring in the analysis of the L3 part and all the reports which are the same which we did for phase 1. So that same analysis come here also, right? So
yes. Felix, if I may recall correctly, we discussed about the Venezuela sanction check.
Yes.
I believe this Venezuela sanction check will apply only for, let's say, Swift payments and not for the ACH and Fedwire.
No, it applies for SWIFT and Fedwire payments.
For Fedwire also it applies?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because we can have nationals or residents of Venezuela or these sanctions countries.
Okay. Okay. So for ACH, this validation doesn't apply. Okay, fine.
No, ACH. No.
Okay. Pratosh, you've already discussed reports, right? So any other kind of reports is required, or any, let's say, the other day we had spoken about, let's say, SWIFT alone. As far as Fedwire and the ACH is concerned, is there any compliance related or, let's say, operational local fields development L3 has been done, which we may need to factor in, apart from the Venezuela sanctions check?
Yeah, we have the statistic report, the payments statistics report.
No, that is already covered, Felix. I believe that we have discussed this report in the earlier call itself, right?
Yeah, but that applies also for Fed and ACH, incoming and outgoing.
Yes.
Just to
Okay.
double check with you. Luis, I need your help here on the L3s.
So on the reporting side, Felix, as we discussed in the phase 1 also, our approach would be that we will analyze what are the data sources today which you are taking this payment, and we will try to enrich those data sources with the new information or from TPH, so that your reports development which is there, that doesn't change. So
Okay.
extracting, and that would be our approach. So apart from all the reports that we discussed from phase 1, do you see any other report which is extra, which might come in phase 2, which we did not discuss in phase 1?
And that is one query, Pratosh. The other query being any other local developments that is being done, because for SWIFT we have seen for ACH or for processing the ACH or for this Fedwire, is there any local development done? That's a query number 2.
So Felix, we don't need an exact data right now. We will anyways put in an analysis phase for phase 2 also. But at a high level, if you can tell us maybe between 3 to 5 reports and maybe between 4 to 5 local developments, that kind of indicator would be good enough for us.
Yeah, okay. So for ACH, for sure, we have reports, but because we are using
We lost you, Felix.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can hear you. Yes.
Okay. No, yes, I was saying that for ACH, I need to review that because we use a third-party application to receive the ACH, and I know there is some standard reports that they use in that application. Most probably, if we replace that application, so by TPH, then we may need to have these reports incorporated or similar reports. But I need that.
Felix, sorry, Felix, we lost you a bit.
Do you hear me now?
Yeah, now we can hear you. That's why, Felix, you can search for that information, and maybe if you can get it during the day, whenever you have it, you can share it with us, and we will take it into consideration.
Okay. I don't commit for today because, but I will try to do my best.
Sure. In the meantime, we will do some assumptions.
Okay. So Luis, do you recall any reports on Fedwire or any L3s that they should consider?
For L3s, we have the report that is provided to Prime BSA,
Okay.
where we put all the FT's information for originator bank, beneficiary bank, intermediary bank, transaction details, and most of the of the FT transaction is detailed in that report, and that report is fed into the Prime BSA application. That is the activity report. That report is produced every day.
Okay, so one is Pratos Mani, the BSA transaction monitoring that we were discussing last time was for incoming SWIFT. So that applies for any kind of payment, as Luis was mentioning, incoming, outgoing. So that's one. The OFAC screening. And sorry, Luis, you were saying the last one.
Yes. So Prime BSA activity is that is the one that we need the FT information. The other one is for statistics that you already mentioned. That we need also all the data from FTs to feed it into the statistics table that is provided as well every day, and a monthly statistic report as well.
Got it. Got it.
Okay. That's for report or interfaces, no, Luis?
Yes, that is for interfaces and for external interfaces that need this kind of data.
Yeah, the online banking that we already discussed, integration with the online banking, and I don't recall any other payment reports that, apart from the ACH, that I have to gather the information.
Fine, understood, Felix. If later you recall something else or something else comes into the picture, please let us know. We will take this and we will make some assumptions and we will consider that for estimation, not a problem.
Yeah. For L3, Luis, I think we did some developments, no, for FedWire, for outgoing, with regards to the money market placements, the generation of automatic FedWire.
Yes, that's right. We have some for outgoing. We have L3 developments. That's correct.
Okay.
And we can provide a list of those developments by checking in the system, but we need some time to do that.
Okay.
Approximately, if we talk about the list, how many developments we are talking about? Less than 10, more than 10? Any high number you can give, approximate number?
I think it's more than 10.
Fine, we'll make an assumption there, and when we have the detailed information from your side, we can always update that.
All right.
Pratosh, we can assume that the queues will be available for all payment types, and we need to manage them for TPH, right?
That's correct. Yes, we can assume that. Okay. Any other question?
Any other interfaces connected for the purpose of these payments, processing the payments per se? I understand that you have clarified that you are a direct participant for ACH as well as FedWire. So I'm not. I'm thinking that there will be no other interface, but I just thought of putting the question also. Is there any other interface used for the purpose of processing the payments, incoming payments specifically?
No.
Okay. Fine. That's fine. Okay.
Okay. In that case, Pratosh and Mani, from the phase 2 questions perspective, are we clear with what is required here?
Standard model bank advisors will apply, Pratosh. Can you take it that way, Pratosh? Or any okay. There is a local development also for okay. Felix, just let me come to that. As part of international payment, we could see that there were some country-related local fees that are being captured. Okay.
Mhm.
Whereas for Fedwire and ACH, this country-related fields may not apply. Or is
They
it
apply.
safe?
You mean the country codes fields?
Yes.
Yeah, they apply for both.
For Fedwire and ACH as well, Felix?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Thanks. Thanks for that. Pratosh, I
Maybe
think we'll have to.
maybe not all the fields, but at the end, some of these fields will be filled out for Fedwire and ACH payments as well, because that's part of the transaction monitoring and screening process that we have.
Okay. And the advisors should capture these details also.
Yeah, for Fedwire, for sure, yes. For ACH, my understanding is that is too. Do you recall that, Luis?
That's fine, Felix. We can cover that later also.
In which sense, sorry?
I mean the country codes local fields that applies also for Fedwire and, if I'm not mistaken, also for ACH.
For Swift and Fairwire, we have to fill up the country information. For ACH, I don't think we need to do that.
We populate as US in those cases.
I think yes, yeah, because those are local payments.
Mhm.
Pratosh, I believe that we can factor in the same L3 applicable for Fedwire. But ACH doesn't apply.
Okay, noted.
And advisors, I believe, will be required. We will need to do some custom advisors now, since these fields also be there.
Right. Okay, noted, Mani.
And that's about it from my end for now, Pratosh. Because let's say we have cleared that there is no direct debits. The bank is processing Swift, Fedwire, and ACH. ACH is only incoming. We are going to have all the initiation through the TPH alone. Digital initiations also will be routed through TPH. So we are pretty much clear there. And local developments, L3, that the earlier one we saw for country-related teams will apply for Fedwire as well. For ACH, only incoming. It doesn't have this country-related fields. So that much is now clear. And all these payments, okay, we can configure that whether this payment needs to go for screening or not, we can configure, so that's not a problem. And payment advisors, that's what I see it as. So far that's what we've covered, and reports already mentioned, so the same will continue now also. We will just provide statistics.
That's correct, Mani. And apart from that, we have clarification.
ACH reports is also there. ACH reports is also there.
Right. And we have one clarification pending with Temenos for incoming Fedwire, that change which Fedwire needs for November 2022. So
Yes.
we just confirm with Temenos. I will send out that email today, and I will keep Felix in copy there. So that is the only additional point apart from what you have mentioned.
Okay. So coming back to my question, so regarding the initiation, so I guess TPH, so when buying TPH, so it comes with a standard REST APIs, correct? That we can expose to the online banking for payment initiation.
Yes,
that's correct.
Okay.
Yes, Hari. So from the phase 2 part, Hari, we are done.
Okay. Thanks, Pratosh Mani. So, Felix, from the SIT execution perspective, we obviously, sent out the proposal, highlighting the overall timeline, and, you kind of wanted us to, provide a quote for SIT execution as well. Just wanted to, hear from your words as to what is your expectation pertaining to it. Where do you see the boundary from our understanding, and I'll have, Prabhu or Balaji extended. We need to cover the overall test strategy, test planning, and test management, and also take care of the SIT execution and UAT support. This at a high level is what I think is the scope. But is there anything else that you want to cover, or any other questions, Prabhu or Balaji, if you can pitch in and briefly explain what we see as our approach, and let's confirm and align with Felix's thoughts.
Yeah, sure, Ari. See, in the interest of time, I will quickly explain what is that we do for any testing related project. As far as testing scope and test deliverables are concerned, we will cover the entire software testing lifecycle, starting with requirements gathering and moving on to test planning, test designing, and subsequently doing this test environmental setup. Obviously, when it comes to test environmental setup, we will seek the help of development team to complete this activity. Once environmental setup is successfully done, we will proceed with the test execution. And as per industry and market standards, we do 3 rounds of SIT. Primarily being the first round, we will cover the entire 100% of all the test cases we do. And the second round, we do 50% of test cases plus defect fix verification and validation. And when it comes to third round, as far as third round is concerned, we do 30% of test cases plus defect fix and validation. And one more thing I wanted to highlight is we will also include and cover this regression testing part as well. Say, for example, we ensure that when testing team receives a defect fix from the development team, in addition to testing the defect and closing it, we will also ensure that any existing functionalities are not getting affected, covering the regression part. So by doing so, we ensure that all the existing functionalities are properly working fine as expected. And plus, we will do the defect fix verification. And talking about our recent testing and implementation experience with one of the reputed banks in Caribbean region is concerned, we have successfully tested and implemented T24 Transact R19 version, which includes TPH, customer accounts, fund transfers, etc. And when it comes to customer onboarding, we were also able to successfully implement Temenos Infinity Digital and Spotlight, which will be coming under online banking. And financial crime mitigation is one of the applications which is developed by Temenos, which takes care of all the AML related activities, anti-money laundering activities. So we were able to successfully complete the project within the stipulated timeline. And the customer was pretty much happy with the way things were happening.
Okay.
Felix
Yes.
and this.
Sounds good. The regression testing, I think, is included in that strategy definition and seat execution, correct?
Exactly, Felix. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So one question. So I don't know if it's to you, Harry, or I need to address that with Diego. Will it be possible to have a reference call with Hamilton Bank?
I think Hari and Prato should be able to answer that. Yeah.
I'll pick this up, Prabhu. So yeah, we'll talk internally and get back on that, Felix.
Yeah, because that's something that at some point when we are ready, so our management will be interested in have a reference call basically to understand that the product itself is behaving as expected, and also on the implementation side there is no so.
Yeah, my this would be my recommendation, Felix. If the call, I mean, obviously this question can be to either of us. It could be either to me or Diego. But if you would like to primarily understand about the product, I would recommend that this channelize through Temenos. Or if you'd like to get from an implementation perspective, we can take it up. I mean, it's not a problem, but just a thought.
Not to understand the product, not to understand the product, but basically to understand from them that is accomplishing their expectations with regards to the TPH product.
Then I can take it up, Felix. Not a problem. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. So with respect to, please, Pratosh.
Just thinking out loud, Hari, as it has happened with other customers also, I think the most transparent thing for us to do would be that even if it is for the implementation preference, that this request goes through Diego, and Diego organizes this call with the bank. If we are needed, let Felix decide that. If we are needed, he can participate. Otherwise, he can have a direct call with the bank along with Temenos. That would be, like, according to me, the most transparent way to do it.
Okay. Okay.
So that we don't get into the middle of that process, Felix, and you are able to have a transparent answer from the bank. That is how it has happened with other clients also. It should not be a problem. And at the back end, we can always talk to Diego so that he can arrange this.
Okay. Okay. We'll see what is how we want to proceed. I need to discuss that internally and see. But that's something that most probably is going to happen. We did that with when we implemented Wall Suite with a couple of banks prior to acquire the software. So that's something that we do. Okay.
Okay.
No problem, Felix and Pratosh. Thank you. So either ways, we'll wait for you to discuss internally, and you can let me know, Felix, and I can work with Diego just to ensure that this is fine. I mean, this is so that because we are. I mean, I understood Pratosh's point because we are directly working with Hamilton, so you can talk to Diego and then get this so that we do not come into this process at all. And I think that's the thought process that Pratosh had, which I completely subscribe to.
Yeah. Also, I want to mention something because we had some internal discussions. So I want to be very transparent and honest with you. So it seems, based on the deadlines that we have, that we are trying to execute a tactical solution, okay, through Transat. But that shouldn't stop the process of this initiative. The question here is whether we are going to do phase one only as a the November
Felix,
is too
Felix,
close.
we lost you for like 5 seconds there. You said that you're looking at a tactical solution and whether we're going to do phase one alone and then we kind of lost you. Sorry.
Yeah, whether we are gonna do phase one alone, even though we don't accomplish the deadline, but we have the tactical solution in place, or we tackle all together and we do phase one and phase two together. So that's something that we are discussing internally, and we'll come up with. But in any case, as I mentioned, we need the whole picture of this payment hub initiative to understand the scope, the timings, and the cost that will represent a project like that. So just for your benefit and knowledge. So
I really appreciate sharing that info, Felix. Yeah, understood.
So it's not a pushback. It's something that basically we know that there is some regulatory deadlines, and we want to make sure that. So we are addressing that from the compliance perspective, actually, with the compliance team, and see what is the impact of basically having truncated data in T24 and the compliance system. But we don't want to stop the analysis to move forward to move to a payment hub solution, so to the payment hub.
Got it, Felix. I mean, if you're available sometime today, let's have a a quick chat regarding this. Yeah.
And also for your info, we are waiting for Temenos for price approval. As you know, probably Temenos has changed the way they charge their customers. There's an instruction from their chief revenue officer, the new person that joined the Temenos this year, and So basically, they are going from a capex to an opex model, and this has a large impact on us. And as we were notified late, basically, so we have asked Enrique for approval to guarantee the capex pricing. So
Got it.
So we are waiting for them on that.
Understood, Felix. Okay, and if there are no further questions, I think we can wrap this call. Thank you very much for your time, Felix and Luis.
Okay.
I think I mean there are a few things that that are pending to be answered. I think we have a couple of things that are waiting from your side. We'll clarify another thing from Temenos. So Felix, I would request you to give us now that we are not going to push too much at this point of time. I want to take 1 or 2 more days just to ensure that we have
That's
this
fine.
as an overall proposal.
Fair enough. Yes, fair enough.
Got it. And we will also include the SIT execution for phase 2. Is that right?
Okay. Yes.
Got it.
Correct. Phase 1 and phase 2. Yes.
Understood. Thanks a lot. I mean, if there are no further questions from our side, team, I think we can call this day.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's from my side, Hari. Yeah.
That's fine, Hari. No queries from my side now.
Perfect.
Thank you all. Have a good day.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Mani. Thanks,
Have a
Pratosh.
good day. Bye.
Thanks, Balaji. Thanks, Prabhu. Bye.